So we're going to get into fantasy football. And obviously, I'll ask you some 49ers related questions as it pertains to players on the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell, guys like that. But you guys go ahead, get your questions in now. All right, all in the chat. And Aponte is he's our resident fantasy football expert. All right, so I want to get the first question off. And when it comes to Ayuk and fantasy football, is he somebody that you would sit or start? Because it's hard to know, like, what is his role in this team. You see him starting to head in the right direction, have 4 catches and a touchdown just a week ago, and then all of a sudden, two catches in a game against the LA Rams. His usage seems to be kind of up and down. Do you think that's something that would be consistent, or do you think they'll start to get him more involved?
I think it really comes down to what you think the 49ers are going to do and how the game's going to go. And what we saw last week with the Rams was run the ball 40 times, limited throws, and Brandon Ayuk gets in where he fits in. In games like that, if you're predicting a game where the 49ers are going to be doing that, or they're not going to be having to chase points or having to put points on the board, then Brandon Ayuk's the one that I think actually falls by the wayside. Because they're going to get Debo involved. He's a must start. Don't even ask questions about Debo Samuel. If you have him on your team, you start him every single week that he's out there. Same goes with George Kittle. He's in that hierarchy of the top end tight ends. But if it's a game against the Jacksonville Jaguars that we think the 49ers are just going to run the ball, take the time off the clock, not really worried that Jacksonville is going to light them up or put up points or anything like that, so the 49ers won't have to throw the ball a ton, then yeah, this is the week that I'm probably going to sit Brandon Ayuk. I'm going to try. I mean, obviously, sometimes you don't have a choice, right? You don't maybe have a better option. In that case, then you might have to play him. But if you have better options, and I'd love to hear if guys have Brandon Ayuk, who else you have, because I can, better gauge that way. But, I mean, I think this week I have him as a sit because it just feels like the 49ers kind of found something last week, getting back to their identity, running the ball. And I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars are exactly going to light it up on offense. I think the 49ers will be able to keep this game close, or in terms of, like, the game's going to be much closer than people think. Like, this isn't going to be a straight up, like, 41-10. I would love to be like that, but I just don't think it will. I just think that Jacksonville's playing pretty well, actually. They just beat the Bills. They just played the Colts to the gun. So their defense is actually pretty good. So I just think that the 49ers are going to stick to their game plan of run. And Brandon Ayuk is the guy that's going to suffer, unfortunately. But in games that you feel like they have to score points or they're going to have to fight back and chase points and things like that, then Brandon Ayuk is somebody you want to play. But this week, I'm going to try to stay away from him.
You're talking about the 49ers game plan and what they want to do. And obviously, if they're able to do what they did last year, and that's going to mean something for not just, Elijah Mitchell, but our guy, Jeff Wilson as well, especially with Wilson having, a little bit of a finger issue. They say it's no issue. But do you think that the 49ers will be able to run the ball 44 times again? Because I think that's the thing, right? When we look at Brandon Ayuk and the people have him, or if they want to play him, you look at Ayuk and how, like, his lack of targets maybe is a direct correlation of the 49ers being able to run the ball 44 times. Do you think they'll be able to run that amount of times again?
I don't know if they'll be able to put up 44, but if they run the ball 30, 35 times, then it's going to be tough because Brandon Ayuk's going to have to be extremely efficient with his catches, and he's going to have to make plays. And again, I just feel like he's the third option when it comes to the passing game. It's Debo, it's Kittle, and then it's Ayuk, unfortunately. So I just – this week, I'm just hesitant to play him. That's all. If you have better options, there's guys that we can name that I think are sleepers this week. I've got them all right here. That necessarily aren't starters. Like, put it like this. I know this is going to sound crazy, but in a PPR league, I would lean towards playing a Hunter Renfrow this week over a Brandon Ayuk, just because he gives you that solid PPR floor, and Derek Carr is going to light him up with targets, especially now with guys out of the way. It's literally just going to be Waller and Renfrow. That's one. Darnell Mooney might be somebody that I'm looking at this week that I would play over Brandon Ayuk because Allen Robinson's dealing with a hamstring injury, and Justin Fields and him have it going. Even when Robinson was in there, they have it going. So if Mooney's the only game in town, I would much rather play Mooney against the Ravens than I would Ayuk against the Jaguars. And one more name, and it's the same game, Rashad Bateman, who's becoming quickly Lamar Jackson's one of his best targets and his favorite targets. 6 targets in each game, 80 yards last week. I mean, he got them all in garbage time, but whatever. It's fantasy football. Who cares? It's really the hierarchy of Hollywood, Bateman and Andrews right now, because Sammy Watkins came back last week and it didn't stop anything. So, I mean, those are guys that right now, because of their game script and because of the way that they've been playing, I would lean towards playing over Brandon Ayuk just this week alone.
All right, here we go. So I have our guy Master Farah. He says I stashed Sermon just in case. Are you over the whole Trey Sermon thing? Because I actually have him stashed on a team as well, but it seems like each week he's getting pushed down more and more on the 49ers depth chart as it pertains to the running backs. You know, you have obviously Elijah Mitchell. He's getting the bulk of the carries. They brought in Jeff Wilson. He gets a bunch of carries. They also have, our guy Hasty,
Hasty.
Jermichael Hasty, who's getting touches before Sermon. So is Sermon somebody that we should just kind of forget about as it pertains to fantasy football?
I mean, if he's on your roster this week, and let's just say Elijah Mitchell doesn't play, then I would hold him just to see what happens. But something had to happen behind the scenes with Trey Sermon, right? Like, he had to do something that they're not telling us about. I mean, he either popped off in a meeting, or or didn't come to a meeting. I don't know, something, right? Right? It can't just be, well, he's not playing well, because we've seen for a fact that that's not true. When he was given the chance, started slowly against the Packers, but in the Seattle game, he was fine. And even Croc, we were at the Eagles game. Remember, he had like the biggest run of that game. Unfortunately, it ended up in a concussion, right? Like, but Sermon,
Yeah.
Sermon's not bad. It's not like he's a bad football player. So there's something else going on. If you have a more shallow league right now at this point, I think he's droppable. But if you want to see how this plays out, let's just say we find out that the Elijah Mitchell thing is going to push him out. I still think that means Jeff Wilson is going to end up being the starter this week, because the trust factor is there. But I would still hold on to Sermon just to see what happens. If he starts to get it going, you know how Shanahan likes that hot hand thing. It's just the Elijah Mitchell thing seems like it's more than a trend. It's more than a trend, because every time he's healthy, he's the guy. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. But something had to happen behind the scenes with Sermon. They're not telling us about it.
That's what I've been telling people, because I'm like, man, like everybody makes it seem like, oh, he just dances too much. It's like, no, he's been productive. He has ran well. Like, that can't just be the issue, because people think that he dances too much. When he has ran, he's averaging over 4 yards a carry. He's done well. He went from rushing for pretty much 90 yards, averaging over 4 yards a carry, to getting 1 carry for 7 yards, to being inactive for multiple games in a row. So it's not just because of his running style. There has to be something else to it that's contributing to his lack of really just involvement in the offense. You do have a question here about some other receivers, Terry McLaurin or Tyler Lockett.
Man, it's really hard to trust Tyler Lockett at this point, because he was stuck with Geno Smith, right? And Russell Wilson came back, and let's just call a spade a spade. He was awful. I mean, now whether that's rust, and the Packers have a very good defense. That's another thing that people are not understanding too, is that the Packers are really good on defense. I understand Kevin King gets a lot of crap for never getting interceptions. He finally got one, and people were like popping champagne. It's a weird week, right? Jamal Adams, Kevin King, Jimmy Ward, long droughts, get interceptions, and it all happened in the same week. So, in this case, man, Washington plays. Who does Washington have this week? Goodness gracious, let me look it up, because I have it in my notes. I just have to find it real quick. Goodness gracious, if somebody could pull it up. Washington plays. Sorry guys, I'm blanking out right here, and that's not
You're
good.
good. You're good.
God, I gotta look it up. I'm sorry, Jesus. I mean, look, it doesn't get much safer than Terry McLaurin, right? I mean, last week he went up against Tampa Bay, and obviously you didn't get what you wanted from them. They won the game, but I don't know, man. I want to play Tyler Lockett, right? Because when he booms in those weeks, it wins you the week. But Terry McLaurin,
Hey, real quick, Washington plays Carolina. And
oh,
Carolina's at home.
okay. Ooh, Ron Rivera revenge game. Yeah, revenge game's the narrative, man. It depends on the format. If it's PPR, then I'm gonna go with McLaurin, because he gives you that safe floor with a chance. But Carolina's defense is really good. I'm just really scared as to what goes on with Seattle. Is that a trend? Is that what's going on with Russell Wilson? Because he looked very, very bad last week, very bad. And I don't know if that was just rust, the Packers defense. I don't know. I'd like to try to stay away from him, because Lockett is kind of underperformed, and that obviously had to do a lot with Geno Smith. So I'm gonna leave McLaurin here, Jesse.
We do have something here from our guy Kenny. All right, and
Mhm.
Kenny says, "Do you think we'll be able to run the ball like we did Monday? I feel like it was easy when we were up 14 and got 2 INTs. I feel like we've tried to run on teams like the Eagles and it didn't work too well. I think this is something that kind of getting overlooked in this whole thing, right? Everybody feels like 49ers have found their identity. I don't want to be Debbie Downer or anything like that, but the 49ers had 2 interceptions in this game. They have not been able to take away the ball throughout this entire season, right? They've had very limited, probably one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to taking the ball away. Another thing the 49ers did extremely well that allowed them to run the ball as much as they did, they were super efficient on third downs. That was their best third down game. 49ers have been like second to last or whatever in the NFL on third downs. So those are 2 things that are kind of an anomaly that allowed the 49ers to keep being able to run the ball and play ahead with the lead. Do we think that that's something that could be consistent? Now, again, maybe it happens against Jacksonville. I don't know. But again, like you said, I mean, Jacksonville just coming off of a game where they did beat the Buffalo Bills, held the Buffalo Bills to 6 points. They are coming off a game where they made it a run late against the Indianapolis Colts. So I am still a little cautiously optimistic with how the 49ers won that game, and if that's something that's going to be, a little bit more consistent. So I like how what Gully says right here, 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time. They're gonna have to figure this out. Let's see. Looking at some more of these. Here we go. We got Metcalf or Thielen.
Man. So Minnesota this week, they have let me see. I'm gonna look that up right now because he's somebody that, remember, we talked about all offseason. They have Green Bay. Okay. Now, does Justin Jefferson draw Jair Alexander all game? And Adam Thielen, it's so weird, right? I talked about it. I was hammering it all offseason. Remember, Crocker, when we were doing these shows? I want to stay away from Adam Thielen. I want to stay away from Adam Thielen because he gets all his points from touchdowns. Look up now, and he's the number 13 wide receiver, which is basically his ADP. Now, there's peaks and valleys, right? It's not consistent across the board, but he does get about 65-70% of his points off of touchdowns. He's a red zone target magnet, right? Now, DK Metcalf, he went up against the same Green Bay defense, and obviously it didn't really help with Russell Wilson not playing so well. I think if you're looking for upside, you still have to play DK Metcalf, because here's the thing. And why can't you play both? I think, are you that loaded that you can't play both receivers? Like, I mean, who are your other options? Because that seems like a good thing. But I'll say this. This is the way that I kind of run my fantasy teams. What can you deal with? Can I deal with starting Adam Thielen and him giving you 14 points on 1 touchdown or maybe like 3 catches, something like that? And then looking on your bench and seeing that DK Metcalf went off for 2 touchdowns and 140 yards or something like that. I can't deal with that. I can't. So in that case, when I kind of put that rule of thumb, it's like, what can you deal with? I can't deal with that. So I got to start DK Metcalf here. Even though I just said to go away from Lockett. I think that at least he's just his upside presents too much, I think, week to week. And Thielen has been just steady here and there, big games or games with touchdowns. That's really it. You're looking for that touchdown with Thielen.
All right, let's see what other questions we have. Seattle faces the Cards. And I am going to get into a little bit of underdog fantasy. Someone said McCaffrey is a diva. All right, we got to talk about it. So obviously me, I've been a big DK Metcalf fan. And I like his attitude and the way that he approaches the game. I don't look at him as a diva. I think he starts stuff, and I think he does a good job, almost like Jalen Ramsey, of getting in his opponent's heads. And we've seen plenty of times now where he's gotten in guys' heads and has gotten guys either kicked out of the game or taken out of their own game. So I don't look at it like that. And I see another guy, he has an ego, but I'd say most guys have an ego. Like anybody that's really good at something, they typically have some level of an ego, right? And DK Metcalf, he's just this physical guy. That's his thing. He's going to talk trash. He has the size. He has the speed. He's going to impose his size on you. He's just somebody that, I don't know. I like the way DK Metcalf, I like his approach to the game. Here we go. Debo, DK, Brown, McLaurin, rate and rank. Real life, not fantasy. Oh, I want to hear this, Aponte.
Oh, all right. Not to be a prisoner of the moment, okay? Not to be a prisoner of the moment, because what Deebo Samuel is doing is incredible, right? And obviously, I'm a big Terry McLaurin fan. There is a world that, like Marvel What If, that the 49ers could have Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin on the same team. There's another world where that happens. Oh, man, this is hard. So right now, this year, If we're talking about this year, then it has to be Debo 1 at this point because right now what he's doing. AJ Brown, DK Metcalf. No, AJ Brown, McLaurin, and then Metcalf. Only just because of Metcalf is kind of just stuck behind, Geno Smith and all those guys. But it can change. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I really don't. Like that's the thing. It's like it's weird, man. It's hard to rank them right now because it's all of what's in front of you right now, and everybody's got, you know, all these pulling up the numbers. It's not even close as Debo over all of these guys. But you would have asked this question last year, I'm sure you would have got a completely different answer. So that's what I'll stick with right now. Croc, I'm interested to hear what you got to say because I think we talked about this, right? This was one of your. I jumped on one of yours when you were just ranking wide receivers, and I think I had it completely different than I have it right now, just based on obviously what we were seeing before. So being right now what we see in front of us is this. So
Okay, so and this is tough because these guys, especially the first three that you mentioned, I was really high on them. All right, all of them. So I don't want to take the easy way out here. I have to go DK 1, and I think there are a lot of people that would have like DK 3rd, but I take DK 1 because again, I try to look at him and like just how much of a mismatch he is at all levels of the field. uh, especially depending on the quarterback. Right now, also, who's my quarterback? Do I have a quarterback that can stretch the field, throw the ball down, down the field, hit all levels, and he's going to give this guy an opportunity to make his plays? Then I'm going with DK number 1. And then after that, I'm going with Debo because in that class, Debo is my wide receiver too. Then I'm going with AJ Brown, then McLaurin. But I don't think you're wrong with any of these guys. It's a lot of it, I believe, is like preference. I think, yeah, it's all preference when it comes to these guys, man. I like them all. That's a really tough question because I'm good with any of them. I'm really good with any of them. I see
I
some
agree.
people. Debo was my draft crush. I see some guys like Brown more than DK. I like them all, and the tough thing is they're all so much different. Like I think AJ Brown and Debo Samuel, they're pretty much kind of the same in the sense of how they win. It's not with big separation or routes. A lot of it is positioning and run after catch. Those guys are kind of the same, but DK, he's just a different type of receiver, right? We're talking about 6'4", 230 pounds, runs in the 4.3s, and he plays like how you would think somebody with that type of physical capability plays. Terry McLaurin, he's the smaller of the four guys, and I think he is more of the good route runner separator. He's the best separator of the group. He definitely wins a different way. So they're all kind of different except for Debo and Brown. But that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. That's almost just what's your favorite flavor, right? And on your burger, I don't know what you have on your burger, but I put barbecue sauce on everything. But some people, they like mayonnaise. Some people like, whatever it is. There's just different flavors and things people like. And I think that's what it comes down to with these receivers. Someone said I can't rock with a guy with a pacifier mouthpiece.
Oh,
Jalen Ramsey, he wears his mouth. Lamar Jackson. Matter of fact, one of the guys that made it famous, Michael Irvin. You know what I'm saying? Like Michael Irvin was a dog and wore a mouthpiece like that with the pacifier mouthpiece. A dog, Michael Irvin. Ramsey, dog. Are you telling me, Jesse? Are you saying you wouldn't want Ramsey on your team? I don't know. I don't know. Come on, man.
I would
Come
take
on.
DK.
You would say DK?
I would take DK. Come on, man.
All right, real quick, guys. Oh, let me pull that down. Debo is wide receiver 1. I'm gonna actually share my screen. And I always talk about underdog fantasy, but I never actually like bring it up. So here we go. Underdog fantasy, and I need to add money to my account, but I don't have my wallet in front of me. So never mind that. All right. Are you guys able to see the screen? There we go. Am I able to zoom in on it? Let's see. I don't know how to zoom in. I don't know if people can see it. But anyways, the way underdog fantasy that I work, I always do pick'ems. All right. So with the pick'ems, and this is the app I've been telling you guys, download underdog fantasy, promo code Crocky, CROCKY. And here's the fantasy aspect of it. And there's a game tonight. You can play this game, and you guys let me know what you think. Also, Peacock Aponte, I want to know what you think as well.
Mhm.
So, I like to bet the over unders on a lot of this stuff. So I want to get your thoughts on this, and then I'll play whatever you guys tell me to play. All right.
Okay.
So you have Mac Jones up here, right? So
Mhm.
tonight it's the Atlanta Falcons against the New England Patriots. Yeah, Mac Jones. Do you think he'll get four and a half? So you have three different things you can do with him. You can only choose one. 23 and a half completions over under, 4.5 rushing yards over under, or 247 and a half passing yards over under. Which one would you take?
I'm probably going to take the completions over. I would take the passing yards under because I think that the Falcons are going to get dog walked by the Patriots on national television. Mac's not really going to have to throw the ball a bunch, but Mac is great for fantasy this week, and I have him as somebody who, if you're stuck, like in a league, I have Matt Ryan in a single quarterback league. I'm starting Mac Jones over him this week. I'm picking him up and I'm starting him. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem starting Mac Jones this week, but I have over, but I would do under the passing yards prop only because I just don't think they're gonna have to throw that much unless they just want, to show off Mac. But I think Mac's gonna have a good game this week. I just think that they're getting Damian Harris back. Ramondre Stevenson is playing so well, as you saw last week. I think that they're just gonna be able to run the ball and do whatever they want in this game. And Matt Ryan's in trouble this week, so he's an absolute sit, Matt Ryan.
All right, so I'm gonna stay away from and I can only do one
One
Mac
prop
Jones
for
prop.
Mac, yeah. Mhm,
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the under on
mhm.
passing yards. All right, now we got a couple of things right here. We got a couple of these receivers. All right, you got Kendrick Bourne, 3 receptions
Over.
over. All right,
Yes.
that's what we're gonna go with. All right, and then let's see, Hunter Henry, 30. Do you want to do the over on the receptions or on the receiving yards?
Probably on the receptions. He's a big target. That's his guy in the red zone. That's his guy in the red zone. Like he's I think it's like something where he's got like 75-80% of his targets in the red zone. It's something crazy.
All right, then we go over to the Atlanta Falcons, and you have Matt Ryan. All right, 22 and a half completions, 245 yards. Like, which one would you play?
Under 245. I just don't think that he's gonna have a good game in this game, man. I just have a tough time because I mean the Patriots are clamping everybody. And I think that's the part that people are forgetting in this win streak. Yes, Mac Jones is playing great, 100%. Can't take anything away from him in terms of that. But man, they're picking guys off, running back touchdowns. I think they have like a defensive touchdown the last like 2 or 3 games. They're really clamping down, man. It's gonna
Yeah.
be hard. And then no Calvin Ridley in this game. And you know that Bill Belichick's gonna take away what you wanna do, which is gonna be Kyle Pitts in the passing game.
So when you see Kyle Pitts right here, his over under on receptions is 5. His over under on yards is 60 and a half. What are you doing?
I think I'd probably take the over on the receptions, but I don't think he's gonna have like a big game receiving wise. I think that he's gonna get peppered with targets. They'll try it, but that's what I would say on that one.
All right, so for those of you who haven't, and I always talk about underdog fantasy, I'm always talking about how to utilize it. Again, this is underdog fantasy that I'm using right now. If you download the app, or you can go to underdogfantasy.com, use promo code Crocky. They have a promotion going on where they match whatever you put into your account up to $100 when you make your first deposit. So if you deposit $20, they'll match your $20 and put that into your account. Then you'll have $40 to mess with. And I'll show you how far $40 can go. Just this parlay that we just put together, Mac Jones under on his 247 pass yards. Kendrick Bourne over on receptions. Hunter Henry over on receptions. Matt Ryan's under on 245 yards, and Kyle Pitts over on receptions. Parlay those together, $5. All I did was put $5. The payout is 100. All right, so $5 if this parlay hits is 100. Now you could say, well, I don't want to do that many, right? I want to do something that might be a little bit safer. All right, so let's take away Pitts because we are a little worried about the Belichick and his ability to kind of take away somebody's main option. All right, and let's go with Kendrick Bourne, the over on his receptions. Now we only have 3 things. Still $5 when the payout is $30. All right, so that's underdog fantasy. If a lot of you are not familiar with how it works, again, and you can put a lot more money than that. Let's say we put uh $20. The $20 on just a three team parlay, that's $120 payout. And the payout is immediate. The payout is immediate. Uh, you hook up your PayPal to it or whatever it is. As soon as you win, that money pops up in your thing, and you're able to pay out right then and there. All right. So Underdog Fantasy promo code Crocky. If you haven't already seen how that whole thing works, I just showed you guys. I'm always talking about it. It's one of the main sponsors of this show. Underdog Fantasy. Download the app or go to the website underdogfantasy.com. Do that right now and use promo code Crocky. And I will warn you, if you have this like addictive personality, maybe you shouldn't do it because it gets really addicting. This is something I'm on every day, just scrolling through like, all right, what plays am I going to have? And it's not just for football. Obviously, I pulled up the football, but they got NBA, and you can actually parlay the NBA with the NFL. So I already have this one right here up, right, with Mac Jones, Hunter Henry, Matt Ryan. I can add the over to Paul George. I can add, the under on Dylan Brooks, and you see your amount go up. So if all this were to hit, and I put in $20, the payout is $400. And again, the payout, they pay it immediately. All right, so that's how Underdog Fantasy works. I saw somebody, is it available for all states? I don't think all states, but it'll tell you right away if your state is able to do it or not. Most states I've been to, I've been able to play it, and I've been traveling a lot, but there are some states where you're not allowed to do it. There is something that says you can get, what's it called, a VPN? What's it called?
Yeah, so VPN is so you could change your location because in New Jersey I can't take these bets. I can't do any of these. And it's just for whatever reason. Underdog is actually based in Brooklyn. I didn't know that until I asked, what was going on with it. It's just not allowed in New Jersey. So what you do with the VPN is that it changes your location, and it can make it seem like wherever. So you're in Arkansas, right? You put the
Yeah.
VPN, it changes your location to Arkansas. Boom, you could put your bets in, and you could bet that way. It's the same way that people were able to finagle, let's say the NFL app, right? Which only gives you the local games. So if I'm in Jersey and I want to watch the 49ers on my NFL app, pop the VPN into California, and boom, it changes from the Giants and Jets to the 49ers for you to able to watch them.
Right. And I'm about to actually get into my VPN game bag today because I've been wanting to get on hold on, I just saw somebody say it. The about the casino app. So all these apps now are having sports books. So now this is not a sponsor of mine, but between like I see it with like Barstool. Barstool has a sports book app. And it's like I can't use that in Arkansas. So
Hmm.
it's crazy. I could do Underdog Fantasy. I can't do that app. But
And I can do
I'm like,
FanDuel in
man,
Jersey. I can't do Underdog on those things.
crazy how that works, huh?
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm about to get into that stuff, man. Somebody says VPN will have all your info though. VPN, I'm too old school for that. Listen, I'm old school for it too. I have it. I actually like download it. However, I'm supposed to use the VPN. I downloaded it on my. I have like this app, but it's like, man, I don't know how to figure this thing out, man. I need to
I
figure it
mean,
out though, because I like sports betting. So
if you got somebody in a state that is allowed, Venmo them the money and have them place the bet and then have them send it back to you, man. Like that's easy too if you don't want to do the VPN thing. I've done that plenty of times for people in Texas who can't bet on FanDuel. They send it over to me. I just put the bet in, and when I win out, that's it. I just send it back.
that's smart. I like that. I've been
you don't
working
got
too hard.
you don't got to do all that technology stuff, man. Just Venmo, Zelle, you get it right away. Go tell them to put it, and then just when it comes out, cash it out and send it back.
Right. But my guy, Jason Aponte, man, you've been good with your time, man. I
Yeah, man.
appreciate you coming on. And thanks for getting off the fantasy football talk. We gotta do this again next Thursday so everybody can start getting their rosters set up.
Absolutely. And yeah, man, appreciate you, Croc. I got you anytime, man. I'm up every morning because I gotta take my daughter to school. So I'm good to watch the show anytime.
Uh, all right, that's Jason Aponte. Tell everybody where they can follow you at.
At Jason Aponte 2103, Jason Aponte on YouTube, Sprint Right Option Podcast 2 times a week, and getting into the whole instant reaction right after 49ers game. So tap in with me on Sunday right after the 49ers beat the Jaguars. Yeah, I'm jumping out on a limb here with that one.
All right, Aponte. Appreciate you
All
coming
right.
on, bro.
Later, guys.